All right, we're going to get you fully prepared for week 10 in regards to the waiver wire, and we're going to do a studs and sucks recap at each position. It was a wild week. You need to know what happened the past week and how that's going to help you in the future going into the rest of the season. Jim, welcome to the show, man. Excited to dive in.
Hey, counselor. Happy Monday to you.
Happy Monday. I got a story to share here about one of my leagues. It was just wild. The circumstances that happened leading to a tie. Very rare thing that just happened in fantasy in a big money league. I want to talk about that. But more importantly, like just some highlights and who should we pick up? Who should we trade for? Who should we work towards acquiring to help us win our leagues? We got to talk about that and address some of the studs and sucks of the past week. And starting off with the latest news and notes. Guys, if you're new to the channel, make sure you guys do smash it. Tap it, slap it, hit the thumbs up, and drop your starts and sits questions and waiver wire questions below. Try to get to as many as we can. We do a starts and sits episode later in the week. Better if we address them then. But if you do have waiver wire trade questions, better to do it in this episode. Jim, are you excited to dive in, man? What's happening?
I am excited to dive in, and nothing is happening except for snow. We got snow this morning when I woke up. That was kind of a shock. But it is November, so, that's what you get usually at this time of year, don't you?
Snow in New Mexico. It kind of rhymes, doesn't it?
It does. It does. People are always surprised. They think, I live in Santa Fe, and people are always surprised. They always think that the weather here is similar to like what Phoenix is like.
Yeah,
and that's a completely different environment that's much farther south and much lower in elevation. I live in the mountains here, and I have a ski area that's only 16 miles away from me. So yes, it does snow here. Every winter. So.
When you think of New Mexico, you think heat, you think desert. I don't know. That's just maybe a stereotype.
It's the high desert. That's where we live. I live in the high desert. So, yes.
All right, let's start off with the news and notes here. Where's our Breaking Brad? Did we lose him? Breaking Brad, where are you?
We now have breaking news.
A couple of things I want to talk about here, just injuries here. I think it was A.J. Brown that avoided a major knee injury, which is good. I mean, he's good. I mean, he's finally getting back into the groove. He was banged up earlier in the season, but apparently he avoided a major knee injury in week 9. Expected to be fine. That's good news, isn't it, Jim? A.J. Brown owners.
Hey, I have a lot of A.J. Brown. Yes, absolutely. It is good news. So, yes.
Devontae Smith making an amazing catch at the end of that game. Also, other news I want to talk about. CeeDee Lamb, I believe his shoulder was banged up. Jim, I don't know if you looked into that. I think he should be good, hopefully, for the Cowboys' sake.
And they're going to do an MRI on it to see what happened, so see the extent of the damage. Another big name, Drake London, hip injury. He did not return to the game yesterday, so that's also a concern. I hope he's okay.
And then there was the Chris Olave with the concussion. Now,
concussion. That's his second concussion this season, by the way. So that's going to be a problem. He's probably going to miss a few weeks at a minimum. So.
Mike Evans went off on this, and we're going to talk about this, okay? So Mike Evans came out and said, dude's scary and panic and just throw the ball. Quote, get him the F out of here. He's so ASS is what Mike Thomas said about Derek Carr. Now, there's all this talk about like, the way they're throwing the ball. He threw it high and into coverage where the guy could come into a collision, the wide receiver. I think it's all BS. I mean, this is just another thing to soften the game up. I don't think Derek Carr maliciously threw the ball in an area where he knew Olave would get smoked, but that's kind of what people are talking about, including Michael Thomas, because there's a lot of injuries. We saw Shaheed and Thomas, and now with this Olave thing, what do you think? I don't think he purposely, maliciously went to do that. I don't believe.
Yeah,
that.
I mean, it's again, it's an accuracy thing, and yeah, there are definitely throws you can make where it's a safer throw for the wide receiver or a more dangerous throw. And if I recall correctly, that Olave injury, he got kind of sandwiched between two guys and with helmet hits, and so how could you throw a ball safer in that sort of a situation where that was going to happen? But maybe Carr shouldn't have even thrown that ball to Olave as he was double covered at that point. But yeah, I mean, again, it's part of the game. And, when you're throwing the ball, my dad always used to say, when you throw the ball in football, 3 things can happen and 2 are bad. So, it's just a risk of the game, but you don't want to put your receivers in undue risk by throwing poorly and into areas where they're going to take hits like that. So
I absolutely, I don't think it's malicious. I think he just threw the ball up. he saw him open and he just got sandwiched. Very unfortunate for Olave. Hopefully he's okay. Apparently he's okay from what I heard. He had, I think he was carted off very carefully, and then he's okay basically. So that was our big concern. Is there any serious damage? He's good to go from what I heard. Okay, so I want to talk really quickly about, and we'll get back if there's any news we missed. Guys, drop questions below if you have any. I want to talk about the score here on my fantasy team. I want to share this story here. So I was up, I think around by 7 or 8 points. I can't remember. It was like 7.10 points exactly. I was up going into the game. He only had Alec Pierce. We ended up tying 151.25 because Flacco threw it to Alec Pierce and tied the game. Now, before this game started, Jim, I said to you, should I start Brian Thomas Jr. or Romeo Doubs? We were kind of having a conversation. Brian Thomas seemed like a more legit start, especially with Kirk. But I hate Trevor Lawrence. I cannot stand this guy. He sucks. He is a terrible quarterback, Jim. We've talked about
He is terrible. I figured that out last year, but yeah.
They're saying now I just read this meme that Trevor Lawrence is basically Daniel Jones with just better hair. Like that's all it is.
I would agree with that. Yes. Okay.
So basically, Brian Thomas Jr. in this particular league, the way the scoring is 6.2 fantasy points, which sucks. Romeo Doubs 6.8. That 0.2 fantasy points.
Oh my God. Really? It was that? Oh, geez.
Had I kept Dobbs in, Jim, because I agreed with you. I'm like, yeah, Brian Thomas should get more volume, but Trevor Lawrence sucks so bad that he was feeding Washington to some guy we've never heard of, Pamlet or whatever his name was, Tamlet or I don't know, some other guy I've never heard of. I'm like, why aren't you throwing to Brian Thomas? It was crazy. So that 0.4, and another thing that I should have won, this guy had Stevenson, and it was that fluke Hail Mary type lob in the air that Drake made
right at the end. Yeah.
That shouldn't have happened. And another thing where Barkley was down.
I have to say though, that was one of the most exciting finishes to a game I've ever seen. I mean that was I'm on board with Drake May. I think Drake May is fantastic. I'm very excited for him next season. If they can get him a decent receiver.
Yeah.
But that was a fantastic finish. I mean, come on. I jumped out of my seat. I was so excited.
I'm like, that was good.
I'm cheering for the Patriots. I'm like, what? But it was a great play.
Good for football, sucky for this particular league. I mean, because I played against teams and that shouldn't happen. And finally, I want to add one more thing because I had Allen go off. I had Barkley, Henry, Ridley had a decent game. I had Theo Johnson at tight end. I had McConkey have a decent game. Another thing, though, that really I could have won with is when two things actually with Barkley. He went down and slid near the end of the game, kind of to burn the clock. Had he run for just a little half yard more, had he not slid, because he could have got more yards on that last run he had. And also that play where he was down by contact. He was actually down because the player hit his sock, right? And he went down, and even the announcers were saying, no, dude, he was down. It counted as a fumble, so I lost points there. So had all these little variables done, I would have easily won the week. But it was a fluke that this guy managed to tie me. We tied 151.25. I had to share the story with everybody, but I'm just upset about it, Jim. I'm upset about this. I'm bitter. That's my win. That is my win.
Yeah, it's crazy. That's a crazy fluke ending for your team. That you've got two entirely different sets of players, and somehow they all added up to the same number of points on a given week. That's it doesn't happen that often. I think maybe the whole time I played fantasy football, I maybe had 2 ties in 20 plus years of playing fantasy football. So that's crazy.
And the craziest thing about this is that he's first place. I'm like second place here. And we're the top 2 scoring teams. Had either one of us played anybody else, we would have won. And I just happened to play the top scoring team. 1 in 12 chance. Like, come on, get out of here. It's so annoying, man. My team is so good. That was a win. Barkley doesn't put up 33 points, and Henry and Josh Allen. Like, between those 3, I should have just won with those 3. But never mind. It is what it is. Let's move on. Oh my God, it's just so upsetting. So upset. I'm still bitter. Even it's a tie. I take a tie over a loss. Well, I still don't want to. I don't want to tie. I want my win. Anyways, let's go to the studs and sucks, and we're going to give you some waiver wire at each position here. Starting off here with the quarterbacks here. And like I said, Jalen Hurts is in a groove, Jim. Like, ever since he got his receivers back, he is in a groove. So Jalen Hurts, man, as the top quarterback, 29.9 points. Joe Burrow, Daniel Jones, Lamar Jackson, Geno Smith, Josh Allen, Aaron Rodgers, Jaden Daniels, Trevor Lawrence, and Justin Herbert here to round out the top 10. Herbert in a bit of a groove now. What do you think? What do you think of these top 10 here, man?
I mean, it's not a surprising top 10. I think maybe Daniel Jones is the most surprising name to be there. Getting what did he get? 24 points?
Yeah,
Is that what it says
24.4.
there?
And he had that rushing touchdown, which really boosted his numbers up.
That always helps, man. And again, when you talk about Jalen Hurts, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Jane Daniels, all those guys have the rushing floor. So not surprising that they all ended up in the top 10.
Yeah.
And you were just dissing Trevor Lawrence, but Trevor Lawrence did all right this past week.
Yeah, but I mean, he just wasn't throwing to my Brian Thomas Jr., which
Right.
really bothered me. Now, as we scroll down here, let's look at some sucks of the week. I mean, Dak Prescott 12.3 points, Jordan Love 10.
Well, Dak Prescott got injured, hamstring injury, did not return to the game, so he only played like half a game.
I'm done with these excuses for Dak Prescott, Jimmy. He's got to stop. You got to stop. I mean, this is the highest paid player. This guy needs to be performing. Did you see that video that came out with Dak Prescott? And I'm not going to repeat what he said, but he was at the sideline and he said, "We effing suck." But nobody heard it, but that's what his lips sound like they're saying.
Yes.
And it basically, did you see that one? It just kind of went viral. Everybody
It's a moment of clarity, I guess. I mean, the ones I'm really disappointed with this week, man, CJ Stroud and Jordan Love. Both these guys, I have such high expectations for coming into this season. And, Stroud actually has some excuses because his two top receivers are out right now. But Jordan Love has been very disappointing the past few weeks, very much underperforming what he should be doing in that offense. And I hope he's able to turn it around because he's got real talent around him and he should be able to do better than 11 points that he got yesterday. That's pathetic.
Yeah, as you can see here, Jared Goff 9.6 points as well, disappointing. Kyler Murray 4.8 and Wacko Flacco 3.1. Now, I was hearing that they wanted to trade Anthony Richardson, and then Flacco comes out and has a worse game than Richardson, and now there's talk they want to keep Anthony Richardson. So what I think happened is this. Richardson isn't that good, but they're like, okay, well, he sucks, so we're going to kind of motivate him. So they put in Flacco. Flacco sucks. They're getting all these other teams are calling for Richardson, thinking, maybe we could fix this guy. He could do better in our system. And the Colts are like, no, we're just going to keep him now. So like, what are you doing? Like, I don't think Richardson's the solution. I don't think Flacco. I don't think either one of these guys is the solution. Jim.
Flacco's good. Flacco had a bad game, and the Vikings defense is pretty good. So I think he's allowed to have a bad game every now and again. Sure. Flacco's been outstanding, in his time. So I haven't lost any faith in Flacco being able to perform. But I mean, these are all backup quarterbacks. I mean, look at how bad Jameis Winston did yesterday. After beating the Ravens last week, he comes out and just completely lays an egg with I still want to call them the San Diego Chargers with the Chargers. I mean, these backup quarterbacks, they're not that good. That's why they're backup quarterbacks, but they can still have good games. So,
So let's get to so who are we picking up if there's anyone on waiver wire week 10 at quarterback? I mean, is there anyone on your list, Jim?
Yeah, I mean, obviously Daniel Jones, he does have some weapons. He has been playing better. I think he's a good choice. Aaron Rodgers is another one. He got 20 points this past week. And Jameis Winston, again, he had a bad game, but this team I think is better with him as the quarterback. It was just a bad game. So those are the three guys I'd be looking at picking up this week.
Definitely happens. All right, let's move on to the running back position here, the studs and sucks. And this is where, again, I get upset, Jim. I get legit upset because I explained to you what happened with my team. And here I have Barkley and I have Derrick Henry. So, and I tied the number one team. Like we're both, tied top two scoring teams. But again, like crushing it with these guys. And then I had to play the team that, anyway, it is what it is. Barkley, Chain consistent the past couple weeks. I'm surprised. What do you think?
Chain's that whole team is way better with Tua. And I don't know if you noticed, but Chain wears that helmet thing. He wears that
The Guardian.
Yeah, he wears the Guardian cap. I think it's smart. And I can't believe Tua went out there and is not wearing that. Because I don't know if you saw that, but Tua did a scramble. He like
Yeah, and he
scrambled for like
dove.
15
Didn't he like?
yards. And
Didn't he
then he dives head first instead of sliding. I'm like, you are gonna get yourself you're gonna get your bell rung again. You're never gonna play football again because you're gonna be a vegetable.
He's
I
reckless.
think they should make him wear that Guardian cap.
He is absolutely reckless. And part of me admires his toughness. You got to say, he's like, I don't care. But part of me is like, you got to make smart decisions too, right? This is your life, especially with what's happening. Once you've been rattled, it's not good. We've seen it with MMA fighters, and these guys become punchy after, as they call punchy. And you don't want that. That's not good. And you're kind of like one hit away from really, making it catastrophic. So, yeah, just
Right.
very, very. Yeah, I kind of cringed when I saw that him diving. Like, I'm like, what are you doing? I think everybody was kind of
That's how he got his last. That's how he got his last concussion. Is he dove? I'm like, dude, slide.
slide.
I don't know.
Exactly. Got to make smart.
Chase Brown, man, kind of just take it over, man. He looks great. 24
Yeah.
fantasy points yesterday. Is that what you're showing?
26.7 PPR. That's what I'm pulling up here on the screen. Yeah, doing well. Chase Brown. Again, he was in that place where he was with a fake RB1, which was Moss. We kind of figured that someone would emerge there, and it looks like Chase Brown is the one. Derrick Henry, amazing. Had his 100th rushing touchdown or something. Then he had another one after
And
that.
his 101st. Yeah, he got
Yeah.
two. Yeah.
Amazing stuff.
That was great.
Absolutely amazing. Dobbins, good game.
Dobbins has been
Stevenson.
playing great.
Yeah.
He's been killing it this year.
It was a
Ramondre
durability.
also.
Yeah, total durability thing with him, man. Rico Dowdle, Bijan, and Chuba to round at the top 10. Guys that sucked here, Jim. I mean, there was a bunch of them that sucked. I mean, where do you even start? Suckletary, he's pretty much done. I don't know why people. He was another fake RB1. Who else here sucked here? Gibson,
Both
Big
Kyron Williams and Brees Hall both had really disappointing weeks. You know, they should have been much better. They got both got like less than 10 points.
Yeah. How about Bigsby, man? Very disappointing.
Well, Etienne came back, so Etienne was back in the backfield. So that's part of it.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But I mean, if the one guy is doing good, they should just ride him. You know what I mean? But they're not. They always go with. It seems like they're just showing respect to the guy that's the original guy there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then we've
Nick
got
Chubb. Look, Nick Chubb's not doing anything. You know,
Oh, look,
I'm not surprised.
Zamir White
Coming
had
back from a
touchdown.
devastating knee injury, I don't ever want those guys on my team. And
Look, Zamir
What?
White. Zamir White had a touchdown. Zamir White. What do you think?
well, that's great for my bench.
I'm not starting Zamir
Oh yeah,
White.
he got what 10 rushing yards and a touchdown. So it only looks good because he got the touchdown.
1.7 yards per carry, 7 points. Not good, man. Not good. James Cook, 11.9. Brees Hall, 10.5. David Montgomery, 12.6. None of these guys had a good week. I mean, who was the suck of the week, though? Cam Akers, 7.3. Who do you give the suck of the week? ATN, 5 points. I'd say ATN.
Yeah, that's pretty bad. That's pretty bad. Yeah, you've got Monster. Jonathan Taylor got 7 points. That's very disappointing. You know, I don't know, just very kind of lackluster here. I'd say there's more disappointments than sucks. Just
Overall.
James Cook with 9 points, Brees Hall with 9.5, Kyron Williams with 10. All those guys. Those are guys that are.
So who are we picking up off waiver wire here, Jim? If we had to pick someone up, I mean, at this point, you should have.
There's not a lot. I mean, that's the whole thing. Like it's very, very picked over. And this is what it's always like, man. I mean, all these running backs just get picked up. The two I would look for, Chris Rodriguez of Washington got 11 touches this past week. So I was like, okay, that's interesting. That could be something. So, but it's a very crowded running back room there. So who knows if that's ever going to develop into anything. And then Tyrone Tracy, if he hasn't been picked up in your league yet, look for that. He got 16 touches and a target. He looks really good. So
Trey Benson had 12 points, something like that. He looked good on the runs that he had, but Connor's still there, so they're not feeding Benson. But every time Benson touches the ball, he looks good. It's just Connor's got to go down. And it's weird because I know that the guys behind the guys in front are better, but everybody's just playing it like we got to play our starters, even though the starters don't do as good. Now, Connor's doing good. He still runs hard, but I think if you run Benson, he's going to do better if you just gave him the volume. There's so many players like Jahmyr Gibbs, same thing, right? So good when he touches the ball, but they got to play Montgomery, right? There's so many scenarios where the backup is so good. Had Kyron Williams not had an opportunity to run wild last year, he would have never broke out. He probably wouldn't even know the name Kyron was because he'd be buried in front of the guy who's not as good as him, right? So this is what sucks, Jim. It's like they play it so that they kind of just play their starters. You know what I mean? There's nothing we could do about it. Nothing, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, it's yeah.
What can we
I mean,
do?
it's a frustrating process outside of a few guys at the very top. So
All right, quick pause here to tell you some amazing news. I've teamed up with MyBookie, and this is the site I use for all my bets. Head on over to mybookie.ag. Use code FFC. They'll double your first deposit. If you put 100 in, you get 100 in play money. Guys, this is huge. Up to $1,000 in doubling your deposit. This is amazing. Head on over there. Enhance that game watching experience. MyBookie.ag. The code you want to use is FFC. Get in on the action for football, for MMA, whatever it is you watch. Get in with MyBookie right now. This is the site I use. I put a link or a scan right here. You guys can get in or head on over right now to mybookie.ag. Remember, upon sign up, use code FFC for the perks of the site. Head on over there, guys, right now. Let's get back to the show.
there
All right,
you
let's go to wide receiver here. I mean, Jackson Smith. I mean, just have the game of his life. And I heard you played against him the week he went off.
Not just one team, like 3 of my 5 teams, I was playing against Jackson Smith and Jigba. So there's one team in a PPR league. I scored 167 points, 167, and I'm going to lose by 30 points because of freaking Jackson Smith and Jigba and a few other players. But JSN just really just sunk the dagger in. There was another team where I was like leading, looking very good going into the afternoon, and I'm losing by 20 now because of JSN. So it's like I just perfect, right? And this is on teams where I have tons of Zay Flowers. Zay Flowers had an awesome week, but it's just completely negated by Jackson Smith and Jigba, which really sucks.
Yeah, it's like Murphy's Law for fantasy, man. That's exactly
Yes.
what's happening.
I've got no mojo this year in my managed leagues, man. I mean, I'm just, although I have to say in our dynasty league, it looks like I'm in a good position to win tonight because I still have to play Kelsey and I'm only down by 5. This should be an easy win for me finally, because I keep losing by like 2 points every week in our dynasty league.
You guys got to make a push, man. You can't be losing now. You got to win out now. Garrett Wilson,
Exactly.
Zay Flowers, Demarcus Robinson, Cortland Sutton, Devontae Adams, Quentin Johnson coming alive. Woo! You guys all steady stuff.
He's had a couple of boom games this year. I don't trust him still, but yeah, he's actually on my list here for pickups. If you're looking for a wide receiver, which you might with all the injuries, because there was also a couple other injuries. Xavier Leggett had a hand injury at Carolina. We talked about CeeDee Lamb. Cedric Wilson of New Orleans had a shoulder injury. New Orleans is in bad shape, man, with their receivers. Everybody's injured.
And that's
Everybody's
why
out.
that's why they're blaming Derek Carr. They're saying that he's throwing it in compromising situations. They're putting him in compromising situations that would lead them to injury. I just don't believe he's doing that. And I think they interviewed Derek Carr after, and they're asking him. He's like, "Man," he's like, "No," he's like, "I don't do that." And he's like, "There's some reason that Michael Thomas doesn't like me." He's like, "He's one of the guys that just doesn't like him." I don't know. It is what it is. There's a reason, I guess.
Yeah.
Something we don't know. Maybe Derek Carr hit on someone's girlfriend or the other way around. These guys don't like each other. Who knows? Who knows what goes on in the locker room?
I believe Derek Carr is married. So
It doesn't stop athletes before, Jim. It hasn't stopped athletes before. So, yeah.
how about Cortland Sutton? He's really come on the past couple of weeks after looking like garbage for most of the season, but he's really come on. And Bo Nix, I got to say, man, I mean, I know they lost badly yesterday.
He's still good.
He looked really good. Like in the first half of that game, he was looking really good and making some exciting plays. Like, I don't know if you saw that, like it was like a quadruple reverse and then they threw to Bo Nix and he caught the touchdown.
Yeah. Yeah, there's some
Great Sean
stat.
Payton play there. I love that.
There's
So
some stat that he's like the first, I don't know, rookie quarterback. I don't know what the exact stat was where he threw a pass, caught a pass, and rushed in a touchdown. I can't remember what the exact stat was, but he's just doing it all, basically.
right,
Bonehead.
right, yeah, he's got talent and also the emergence of Troy Franklin as well, which you
Yeah,
and I talked about a lot. It's taken longer than expected, but they appear to have a really good connection together as well. So that's exciting to see.
that was due based on the lack of talent there at wide receiver on
Yeah,
that.
but also just the fact that those two played together in
Yeah,
Oregon. So,
Oregon,
you know,
exactly.
yeah.
So Cedric Tillman staying consistent as well if he's available on waiver wire. Anyone else to consider here off waiver wire? Nick Westbrook, Ikine from Tennessee, 6 target.
Akine, yeah,
I
yeah.
can't pronounce. I don't care.
I think he's a little. I don't think I trust him. He's more of a speed guy, so he just had a good game.
Yeah.
Because what he
Suck.
got,
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I was like, the
You
reason he
got.
looks so good is because he got a touchdown, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he had 6 targets. That's all right, 5 catches, but kind of like below my threshold for looking at guys to pick up.
Guys that crapped that, Brian Thomas Jr., 6.2 points. Very disappointing. Like I said, he's in one of my leagues. AJ Brown, 5.6, he got hurt. But everyone is talking about Carolina's Jalen Coker, 3 targets, 2 receptions, 5.6 fantasy points. Everybody jumped on that. And see, that's why I don't jump on this hype of like, players coming out of the woodwork. And I'm like, nah, years to wow, or not even years to wow us, but like, I mean, this guy is his rookie year. But what I'm saying is like kind of coming out of nowhere and people jump on it and they get hyped and they start him. It's like he didn't do anything. He's on Carolina too to boot, right? That doesn't solve anything.
Yeah, that's not a good situation. Jalen Waddle has been just a complete non-factor this year. 6.6 fantasy points. With or without Tua, he sucks either way. That's very disappointing because he's a talented guy and he should be getting more volume.
Marvin Harrison, 3.4 points. And Michael Pittman, what a bust. 2.4 fantasy points for Michael Pittman. And Marvin Harrison, round 2 to 3 pickups. Now, people are ripping on me for Keon Coleman. He had a bad game, 5.1 points. But Keon Coleman did better than both Harrison and Pittman pretty much combined. And those guys are second and third round picks where I'm not making excuses, but listen, like let's call it what it is. I mean, a lot of guys busting. So don't just pick on me on my one guy, Keon Coleman. Like it is what it is. You got to
right.
adapt.
We like Keon, but it's just not. I don't know. It's a very tough receiver room. That offense, I'm just not thrilled with the passing offense on Buffalo this year. It's just not that good, and there's no real emerging number one receiver, even with Amari Cooper being there. So I don't know.
And that's the thing. When Amari Cooper was there, Coleman had 2 good weeks, and then Amari Cooper was out this week, and Keon Coleman's back to being Keon Coleman, not getting, just not being able to handle.
So maybe we need to get Cooper back in that lineup so things open up for Coleman again.
Yeah, he's drawing in the top corner and opening things up for Keon. It's that easy. Like that's all he is a distraction, taking away the top corner away from Keon, which is really helping him. All right, let's go to tight end here.
Wait, we didn't talk about the waiver wire. So
waiver wire. Who are we picking up?
I'm looking at the Cleveland receivers, man. Jerry Jeudy got 11 targets. Cedric Tillman got 11 targets. Elijah Moore got 9 targets. So all those guys are, I think, worth picking up. Demarcus Robinson got 9 targets. I don't know if I really trust that. He's really not that good.
No.
Demario Douglas got 9 targets as well. We talked about Quentin Johnson. So those were the guys that I was most interested in for the waiver wire this week. So,
all right, moving on to the tight end position here. Where's my screen? Let's go. Gesicki having a good week, man. Josh Oliver from Minnesota, 5 targets, 5 receptions, and a touchdown. I'm not going to hold my breath for him being consistent every week in that offense. What do you think? Josh Oliver, is he a waiver wire pickup?
Are you kidding me? Come on. Who is that guy? And don't forget, Minnesota has TJ Hawkinson back. So I would say this is a non-thing, a non-factor.
I would say Theo. I've got Theo Johnson. I started him. He gave me a good week, 15 points. Because I don't know. I just have him. I just see the upside there because they don't have a lot of targets. I started him in a league and he worked out for me. So if he's
he got 6 targets. That's pretty good, especially for a tight end. So, but he hasn't really done anything this year. I think he just looks really good this week because he got the touchdown. But I don't know if I would really trust that. The guys I'm looking at would be Jonnu Smith, who also got 6 targets this weekend. Mike Gesicki of Cincinnati got 6 targets. And then A.J. Barner of Seattle got 7 targets this week. I don't even know who that is, but
I see it right here. AJ Barner, 6'6", 251 out of Michigan. He was a 2024 NFL 4th round draft pick. That's who he is.
oh, so he's a rookie. Okay.
Yeah, that's
All
right.
right.
There you go. So
And then also mentioned to Jatavian Sanders of Carolina, who only got 5 targets, but he did turn that into 4 catches for 87 yards. And that, I mean, that offensive, the wide receivers have been massively depleted on Carolina. So that's pretty good too. I think he would also be a target for pickups.
yeah, as you can see here, I'm filtering by targets here. Ingram, Ferguson, my guy. I told you, Ferguson, man. Like, everybody was like last week, didn't have the greatest game, but he didn't have a touchdown. But this time he had 7 receptions. He's the man. He's going to be a consistent tight end you can plug in every single week, and he gets it done.
If CD misses some time, that just further increases his value. So
I love him, man. Nice to the home stretch here for the playoffs. So anyone else to pick up off waiver for tight end? You said Theo, maybe.
Those are the ones that I'm looking at. Yeah, I think Mike Gesicki, Jonnu Smith would be my 2 top targets just because of the offenses. But yeah, I mean, Theo Johnson, Jatavian Sanders, A.J. Barner are worth picking up as well if you need a tight end.
Okay, let's look at some defenses here. Who are we considering for defenses? I'm just pulling up week 10 here. Obviously, who else is there? Giants versus Carolina. Carolina versus the Giants. Either one of those.
I think that's one where you could start either one of those defenses. But I would probably take the Giants defense. That's a really good one.
Falcons versus the Saints. I like this one. Saints are just not good. They're not a good team.
Right. Oh yeah. They're not. They're really struggling right now. Broncos are playing the Chiefs, and I don't know. I'm thinking the Broncos defense. I mean, the Chiefs offense is not that good. It has not done that much this year.
I don't know about that. I feel weird about that because Chiefs are 8.5-point favorites at home. So I would be concerned maybe Mahomes puts up some points that game.
Yeah, I mean, certainly that's a concern. But the Broncos are one of the top defenses in the league this season. They obviously got their butts handed to them by by the Ravens this week, but the Ravens are really good. That's a really good offense. So
yeah.
I'm just not seeing that sort of we're not seeing the Kansas City that we're used to. They're low scoring. They're and they're winning with their defense and special teams and not making mistakes. But Mahomes hasn't been great. Mahomes, is Mahomes even a top 10 quarterback this year? I mean, he only has like 7 touchdowns or something like that. It's not good at all. So
no, he's not playing the way that he should. I can tell you exactly where he's sitting right now. Pat Mahomes where is this guy? Number 23 amongst quarterbacks. He's only had 8 touchdowns and 9 interceptions. It's very strange, and they keep winning. Like I don't understand.
That's the other thing is they just keep winning. It's because they're not making a lot of mistakes. Again, it's like Mahomes has become a game manager. I don't get that at all. That's not the Mahomes that I like.
Right.
I want to see crazy Gonzo Mahomes throwing for 5,000 yards and 40 touchdowns. But I don't know. Maybe he just doesn't. He can't do that anymore because they can't build a team like that anymore. Because again, he's so expensive as a quarterback that they can't spend that money on the pieces around him to make them better. So I don't know. You've got the Titans playing the Chargers. Yep. So the Chargers defense, man, they look really good. I definitely play secondary.
That. Really good. I mean, I would be cautious about starting Ridley that week. I mean, they're gonna give wide receivers problems for sure.
Right, right. And the Lions are playing the Texans, and the Texans are really, really struggling right now. I don't know if Nico Collins is going to be back this next week, but if he doesn't play, I think the Lions defense would be a really good play this week.
For sure. That wraps it up. Maybe the Bears versus the Patriots, but you never know with those Patriots. They're kind of
both those are pretty good defenses, and the offenses are pretty suspect. So yeah, that'd probably be pretty good too for streaming.
All right, that wraps it up. Waiver wire week 10, studs and socks. Man, just a wild week, and some people coming out of the woodwork. Be careful when you're looking at the waiver wire. You don't want to add those people that just kind of came out for 1 week and they're not consistent. So you want to stay consistent, okay? I think that's it, Jim. Anything else?
No, I think that's it. Good luck week 10, everybody.
All right, guys, smash it, tap it, slap it, hit the thumbs up, and let us know in the comments if you have any questions about waiver wire and how your team did. Let us know. Thanks, Jim. I hope you guys have an outstanding Monday. We'll talk soon. We're out.
Thank you, Counselor.